So this in this session we try to provide some issues that think that or trends and developments in mediation that may affect the mediation service probably in the next couple of years. Okay. So what are the factors contributing to the development of mediation? One, I think, is the expansion of the IP regimes. I think for the last these decades, we already have so much the IP regime has expanded to the traditional IP that we know. For example, now in EUIPO, there is a talk in the standard essential patents. We in the trademark registration, we already have this patent marks, which are I think very different from the way you see trademark, the traditional trademark in the past. Okay, so this expansion of IP regimes is also fueled by the advancement in technology and innovation. So right now we are expanding the communication technology, which in turn gives giving us the power of communication and to include it in the mediation processes. Like now we are using more on video conferencing, online technology. So this is being done as this is adding to the efficiency of mediation. We could conduct mediation online or virtual mediation, as they say. And of course, IP is more related to business. And in business, there's always this notion for cost effectiveness and time efficiency, which is also related to what we are proposing, which is mediation. So in effect, this contributes to the expansion of the IP mediation system. Okay, so these are the three emerging trends that we see, but this is not limited to, and I think this is just to prep your mind, and we could think of other issues which I think more are relevant also to the trends in IP mediation. So we have virtual mediation or online mediation, use of artificial intelligence in mediation, and as well as mediation, expansion of mediation in cross-border disputes. So let me tackle a little bit in these things. Okay. I think you'd like to introduce this one?
Yes, I can go ahead with this one. Thank you, Luwin. So it's a bit difficult to talk about online mediation as something new. I'm not suggesting that, but is it a trend? Yes, it definitely is. I think, I don't want to say that technology was not ready for online mediation before the COVID pandemic, but when the pandemic hit, there was no other option. So I think it was maybe society still preferred meeting in person, and for all good reasons, to be honest. I think I'd still prefer overall an in-person mediation from when compared to an online one, but it just simply wasn't possible during that period. So what happened, I think everyone just made that jump together and all at once. That's what one of the, how would you say, externalities, one of the outcomes of COVID was that we basically over the course of a weekend decided to stay at home and continue working, continue doing our work, but doing it online. And this has now become the standard for mediation. It's simply the case, at least we're talking at the EUIPO now, and I believe that in the Philippines, based on the presentation yesterday, this experience is shared. Now, we do offer our free mediations at the EUIPO facilities at the headquarters in Alicante. We have a lot, it's a big office, we have a lot of rooms that can handle multiple parties and individual and joint sessions. So we always make sure that the parties are aware of this. But when they're requesting mediation, they tend to always tick the online box rather than the in-person box. Why is that? It's going to actually play into the other situation, which is cross-border disputes. We do have parties from Spain, where we are as well, to our proceedings, but we have parties from all over the world. And I have, like I mentioned, I think yesterday, I have a mediation now where we have a party from Israel with a lawyer in Germany and a party in Florida with a lawyer in the US. They don't really want to travel, they don't really want to lose that time, so they prefer to meet online. Okay, and that's why this is going into the flexibility, reduction of costs. It's sort of less stressful because avoiding travel is less stressful. You can stay at home or in your office and connect online. Okay, this is become basically 99% of our mediations. I think since COVID ended, we've had only one. And beyond, I also want to add here that beyond the offering of physical in-person mediations at our office, we also have an office in Brussels, which is basically the capital of the EU institutions, and there's a lot of business activity around there. It's very close to Paris, to London, to Amsterdam. And so we also offer mediation services there because it might be more convenient. Even that's not used very much. It seems, by and large, the parties tend to prefer to connect online. And this was one of the motivations, naturally, for us to develop a platform to facilitate online mediation for our users. And like I said yesterday, I think we had a brief introduction. It has been launched. It's up and running. It's not perfect yet because it's going through a lot of customization through experience. So we do use it already for our mediation, but we don't have the full features available that we're going to have yet. So it's a work in progress, so to speak. Please. So what are some of the issues with online sessions? I heard about this actually the other day, confidentiality. Well, how can this happen? Does anyone have an idea about how confidentiality could potentially be breached in an online setting that's much more difficult to do in person?
You can record it on your phone.
For example, exactly, you can record it, yeah. Another option is you could get hacked. I think we talked about in the COVID pandemic, there were all sorts of meetings that people in Zoom that people would end up linking onto, but they weren't invited and they would hear what happens. And the other thing is it's a lot even easier than recording. You might have someone sitting on the side. They're just not visible, but they're there, but they haven't signed the confidentiality agreement. So there are issues. It's not perfect. Now, one of the reasons why we went for our own platform is to provide the security, right? So this comes at a much higher security control firewall than your standard Zoom, even with your, how would you say, your premium upgraded Zoom. I think ours is a lot safer. Okay, anyway, I don't know, Luwin, did you want to add anything to this one at this stage as well?
I think, of course, the online dispute for ODR, this would be dependent on technology. Like you have to have Wi-Fi connectivity, you have uninterrupted electricity supply, that sorts of things. And at the same time, of course, there will be focus on the mediator skills. So it's not there's so like skills that's needed to to handle online mediation, which is I think very peculiar to face-to-face mediation proceedings. Okay.
This is another issue that we've come across since taking that step to online, is that unfortunately our most experienced, our best mediators tend to be not so tech savvy. So they're afraid. They don't like it. They say, well, what is this new platform? What is it that you're pushing on me, right? So it basically, it adds a lot of training and facilitation needs from us, from the ADR service and the mediation center to the mediators, because when you facilitate a physical meeting for a mediator, experienced, comfortable mediator would say, okay, now get out of here. I don't need you here. Let me take care of this. But in the online setting, they want you to hold their hand throughout, because they're worried, as Luwin said, something technically might go wrong, or they might not know how to use a particular feature of the system, and it creates a lot of stress and a lot of nerves for them. We find that the newly accredited mediators, which tend to be younger, they're okay with it. Yeah, it's a platform. I get it. Don't worry. I'll play around with it. I'll figure it out. But there's quite a few of the ones that, let's say, they've already been mediating for over a decade or even more, and then they get this and go, that's not what I'm used to. Okay, so help me out here. So this is a big issue that we're trying to overcome.
I think based on my 2 years in EUIPO, most of the veteran mediators tend to ask for assistance from the ADR.
Yeah, and it's tailor made. It's situational, right? It's every time we have to be there. It's not enough that we provide them with one session on the main features and then they'll go off. It's like every time that they need to do another step in the mediation, we need to be there. And this is something, this is basically a sunk cost for the change that's going to probably happen over the next few years, and hopefully at some point we'll arrive at a level of comfort for most of our mediators where they can be more or less independent. But for now, they really need our support. Okay, so this is a kind of screenshot here. You can see the look and feel of when you're logging into our platform. And on the left-hand side, you have a list of the different features that it has, okay? Having worked with it now for about a year, I can tell you what I like about it. I can also be very open and tell you what I don't like about it. But most of all, I have to say, the electronic signature of the mediation agreement, this is really important, because this makes things neater, cleaner, and safer for everyone. Once the parties and their representatives have been onboarded to the platform, it's very simple. If they've already in a meeting agreed on the text of the mediation agreement, it can simply be uploaded in PDF format, and a task is launched out to them where they enter their password, and that is an electronic signature on the PDF document. This, when you compare it to what was done in the past, which was printing, scanning, copying, emailing, it's a lot easier and a lot neater. So that part I really like. But I mentioned the onboarding. I don't like the onboarding, I have to admit, because it's a separate platform that is, by law, has to be separate from our main user area. So the users ask us, well, why do I have to have another login? And I have a hard time explaining why. They basically say, well, because you have to. But is that a nice thing? No. I don't think it's nice to give users a separate login. So personally, I'm not very happy about that. And again, you might have users that are not tech savvy. So they might have issues with the onboarding. So that's a part that I'm not happy with. But I hope, again, that with experience, it's something that can hopefully improve. A lot of other things are facilitated there. Any kind of documents that you might wish to submit during a mediation, there's very clean and clear functions for it. So one of the things that our mediators like to have, for example, is answers to some practical questions by the parties. We already have your written procedure closed. We have all your legal arguments, okay, rights-based, on the rights-based side. I don't want to know more about that. I want to know the practical sides. I want the interest-based part. So what our mediators tend to do is launch a questionnaire of what's important to you, what's important for your business. How far do you want to go? How constrained are you? They tend to tailor-make these questions to each mediation. It's very easy to do on the platform. You have template questionnaires that you can launch, and then the parties simply fill in the boxes what their answers are. You can also ask them to submit case summaries in a very simple format. Again, we tend to focus here on the interests and not on the legal arguments. We have a very good messaging system inside the platform. Similar, let's say, to WhatsApp, you can create groups. So you can have one group with one side, one group with the other side. Make sure that you're not sharing information when you shouldn't be. You can have a group where the mediator and the shadow mediator and the case handler can interact so that the parties don't see. And so there's a lot of these functions and features inside the platform that do work really well. But I'm hoping that at some point we'll be able to facilitate access to the platform for our users better than we have right now.
Okay. Okay, so moving on, I think one of the trends right now in mediation is the use of artificial intelligence in ADR. Probably, if I think our lawyers here could have used like sampled co-counsel. It's a proprietary app for evidence, for documentations. They could segregate the documents. You could search by word or for the whole case files. So these are proprietary applications. For mediation, probably you heard about Megabot, which is an app for mediation proceedings that uses AI. Or you have heard Modrea, also a proprietary app that uses AI as acting as a mediator with the parties. Okay, so these are some of the examples that AI is impacting ADR. Another important use of AI is if you have ChatGPT. Actually, that version 4 of ChatGPT, you could use it as for training mediators. You could simulate the mediation. You could ask the AI ChatGPT to create parties, make it even the voice, or make it this party would be female. Create scenario for mediation. You could do that through ChatGPT. Okay. So there are issue as well for the use of AI in mediation. So number one of this is of course related to the ODR is privacy and data security, of course. So if you are using proprietary information, any input that you provide the system can be read by the original developer. So it's an issue with AI. There's also a risk of bias in, for example, generative AI. These are new AI platform that can learn this it's called machine learning. So any input that you have, the technology could more or less give profiling to the users. But if you are using something which a data which is incomplete, or some data which is biased to a certain like a sector, that would propagate the bias in that AI. So and you wouldn't know, because you are using the system, but it will propagate itself because the initial algorithm is already biased or compromised. Okay. So in EUIPO, we have been actively using AI in the system. So these are some that AI that we use, or it is embedded in the EUIPO system. One is you have in this account, if you are in trademark filing or trademark search, the IP tool that we are using uses AI to be more user friendly to the examiners. We have this E3, U2 generation tools for examiners. It segregates the information, the files in the system to have for the examiner to have complete details, complete data for trademark applications. For e-search case, you could use, which I think is also available on the website, and it's available for users. It also uses the AI system, so it profiles, give like if you are in a council who uses this system, it will give you, like, if there's updates. It would give you more updates on the services of the EUIPO. And for Power BI, we're using this for reporting purposes. And lastly, in terms of the ADR platform, the next phase of development is incorporating AI for the mediators to have access to training using AI technology. So that's the second phase of development for the platform. Okay, the next, I think, trend. Okay.
Yeah, just maybe go back to the last one. Another thing with respect to AI application that's contemplated for the platform is also what we're calling, it's not yet developed, but we know that the service provider does contemplate this type of feature and function, is a wizard, and the wizard is something that could be consulted by the parties before mediation, so to assess their case to see if it's suitable for mediation. Now, thinking about that, I'm also wondering, I mean, I think for the colleagues in all of the IP offices, the core business is not mediation, it's taking decisions on IP matters. I wonder to what extent, I don't know, show of hands, are any of your offices already contemplating the use of AI applications in decision-taking processes? Is anyone thinking about this? No? Okay. So I think, I don't know what the outcome of all of this AI development is, but I would not be entirely surprised if simple decisions following the conclusion of written procedure in a straightforward case could actually be drafted instantaneously by an AI and then reviewed by a real expert just to make sure that it's in line with guidelines, principles, practices, case law, so on. Now, less interesting that for mediation, naturally, because we prefer to avoid decisions in a mediation setting. What we've been looking into, rather, is how to filter out cases that we have that would be very suitable for mediation, where we would be confident that if we approach the parties in that case, the likelihood of them saying yes to a mediation proposal would be high or higher. So we've already started looking at different triggers that we have in our data bank of information related to all of the cases we have. Now, going back to yesterday's slide on the volume of cases, we're talking about, what, 30,000 inter partes proceedings a year. A human cannot compute this, okay? It's just not possible. Even many humans working at the same time would not be able to. But if you could somehow design an algorithm that will scan that whole data bank of those, let's say, 30,000 cases annually, maybe it gives you 500 or 1,000, where the AI is suggesting to you that, Goran, most likely the parties might say yes in these cases, so try and give them a call. So this is something that we're going to continue to work on to see if we can filter out those very good cases that are really appropriate for mediation as well.
Yeah, I think that's very appropriate. Yeah. Okay, so I think the next trend that we seeing is the increased use of mediation in cross-border disputes. There's a survey from the, I think, Singapore International Dispute Resolution Academy, which says that they conduct this yearly survey related to mediation, and for the 2023, I think they are coming up with the 2024. There's already some sort of a draft. You could find it in their website. But in the 2023 survey, which is, I think, very similar to the 2024, businesses are opting to use international commercial mediation as a number one main dispute resolution system. Okay? So what are the crucial factors which drives these findings? One is preservation of business relationships. There's confidentiality and speed in the resolution of the dispute. And somehow this is correlated by EUIPO statistics that says that for the period 2024 up to 2023, at least 70% of all EUIPO referrals to mediation has been successful, and whereas for arbitration is just 33%. So it shows that the businesses are using mediation more compared to other modes of ADR. Okay, so in EUIPO, we have been preparing for this scenario, I would say. So we have expanded to first instance proceedings to cover the whole litigation procedure in EUIPO, trademark registration. We have set up our roster of mediators who are expert in IP, and they could provide the different languages of the EU. And of course, relevant to this cross-border dispute is cultural differences, cultural aspect of the mediation. So we are seeing the inclusion of the relevant cultural issues and learnings through our mock mediation training. This is always included as part of the criteria for mock mediation cases. And we are the EUIPO is actively sharing, participating with stakeholders in the sharing of best practices in mediation, which is, I think, this is part of this endeavor. So we're seeing that the best way to do this is sharing of best practices. Okay, so I think, Goran, could you have this